Okay, so we'll dive right into it. Somebody asked, can you share the information on the vets where you can get your C-sections for a low price? In Oklahoma and Texas, the ones we know of are Wheeler Vet in Wheeler, Texas. They're great, but they're older people and you may have a hard time getting hold of them.
I mean, who are these? Are they from around
Well, they're probably from Texas,
area?
right? Yeah, probably. So then there is Durant Animal Hospital, which is north of Dallas in Oklahoma. Durant, Oklahoma. He does lots and lots of them. And then up in the northeast of Oklahoma City is Wewoka Animal Hospital. So those are the three. There's another woman in Hobart. I don't know her name, but she's in Hobart, which is in kind of anyway. You can look them up. But those four do good jobs.
Yeah. Do your own research also, and make sure they've done C-sections on bulldogs when you're looking.
Let's see, I have a black and white female, so we've got a brindle pied. Sire is also black with white. Dame is blue. I'm breeding with a pied brindle male. His size tribe, brown, black muzzle, white markings. Dame is brindle. Oh, I'm confused here, Denzel. Sorry, dude. You're gonna have to give me a bit more. You've got 4 dogs you're talking about here, and I'm kind of lost. Sorry, folks. Not gonna answer that one right now.
I would list it as dog 1, dog 2.
Yeah.
And then the stud.
One of my girls gets iron deficiency when she comes to heat. What can I do to prevent this increase in iron levels? I think you mean decrease in iron levels because she's got iron deficiency. Well, I don't know. Talk to your vet. I mean, there's going to be things that you can give dogs to increase that iron. I mean, vitamins with iron in them, I would think. I have a Frenchie female. She's just a week shy of 13 months and no heat. Any recommendations? Yeah, wait. She'll come into heat. Give her a chance. It's not abnormal for dogs to be, a year and 3 months old before they have their first heat. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine.
You have white towels. Put it in her bedding. That way, if sometimes when they are with another female, the other female will keep her clean, and you won't know she's in heat.
Yes, now we get it.
So keep a towel on the bedding, white towel.
Okay, I've got to go back now in time because we answered all those questions. Somebody asked, what do you do about a swollen ear, a hematoma? So what we're talking about here is you get this huge, massive ear that you've got to do something about it. So you have a swollen ear, and the whole ear is basically filled with blood. And what's typically happened is the dog's been shaking its head and bashed its ear on something and caused a hematoma, which is basically a blood bleed inside the ear, and the ear then just puffs up. So what do you do about it? Well, first thing is you've got to find out what the cause of the underlying problem is, ear mites or a yeast infection typically, and then treat that with the appropriate medicine. You can go to the vet, or you can buy an ophthalmoscope and look in there. Takes a little bit of muck out, put it on a microscope slide and look at it if you have a microscope. But basically you've got to decide whether it's a yeast infection, a mite infection, or something else. Because if she's been...
Where you get ear mites is usually from a cat.
Oh, is it? Okay. So if you've got cats around, so what Tammy's saying is it could likely be ear mites. Alright. So you found the cause of it, you treated the problem. But now what do you do about the ear? I'm going to do a whole video on this. But basically what you've got to do is you've got to take a syringe or a needle and poke a hole in the ear right where the margin is, right where the ear's kind of flap comes together, close to where, in the area where the hematoma is, and then push on the ear and get all that blood out, and the ear will go back
Look what I see.
What do you see? Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And that's the RV
That's-
you want, isn't it?
Freightliner right there.
Yeah, don't even be looking at it. It
Look
goes
at
in
it.
the background.
Look at it.
Yeah.
Look at it. See it?
I see it. I see it.
That's a little shorty one.
So
I like that.
get all the blood out, get a hole, don't use a little tiny needle because you won't get the blood out. You need to use like a 22 or an 18 gauge needle, and you can actually stick the needle in there and get it to come out through the needle. You can even take a syringe and suck it out. But for me, just putting a hole in the ear doesn't cause any particular distress to the dog. Squeezing all this out, they'll feel so much better for what I've done it. But here's the problem. It's going to fill back up with blood again. So the technique on this is to take the ear and to take something round like this. What works really well is the tube from a dry erase marker. Just take the tube, take the guts out of it, and you've got yourself a really lightweight tube. What you're going to do is you're going to wrap the ear around that tube with some tape. So basically, if this is the ear, you're going to take the tube, you're going to put the ear around it, and you're going to wrap it tight to stop the blood swelling back into the ear and make it blow up. So the technique is, like I say, drain the blood, get yourself a tube of some kind. This is a little bit small, a little bit bigger than this would be better. Put this so the ear is around it and wrap it up tight so that there's no place for the blood to go back into the ear. That will probably fix your problem. If you don't do it, the next thing you know is you've got an ear with a cauliflower ear and the ear is bent down like this and you'll never save it. That dog will be like that for the rest of its life. It's not a hereditary condition, it's just one of those things, but it's cosmetic, but it doesn't look good. Did we talk about this the other day? Okay. Somebody's asking about marketing puppies. How do you market your puppies?
How do you market them?
Market.
Marketing.
How do you sell your puppies?
How do you sell your puppies? Facebook's been great.
It has. Social media.
Your website.
You've got a website. The website's great. Social media's great. YouTube is great. I think one of the best things that you can do is to take a video of your puppy and then post that either on your website or in social media, because now people can see those puppies running around, playing, walking, see how their hips are. You can talk about the puppies, you can rate the whole thing. I think it's so much better than a single picture, personally. These people in it is no.
It's huge. It's got lights on the back of
And
it.
they got cars in there.
Wow, look at that rig.
That's quite a rig.
Sakes.
Isn't it? Yeah. Good. Yeah. We talked about pet insurance the other day, didn't we?
Yep, we did.
Yeah. We're back a ways. Someone's asked about whether you should test for a pregnancy test on a dog. So if we don't do it, typically we just wait until they're obviously pregnant. And if we're not sure, then we're 5 days out from a potential C-section. We'll do an X-ray to find out. But if you want to do things earlier, you could do a blood test at about day 28 or a ultrasound again at about day 28. One, I think I answered this one. Do you remember that? It says my Frenchie's 4.5 weeks pregnant, and I saw some white liquid coming out of her hey. I think I answered the other day, didn't I? Take a temperature. Make sure you just have a high temperature.
Got any question about your dog's not feeling right? Taking their temperature.
Yeah, always.
Got any questions about what color your dog is? DNA.
I have a question. I have a 4 to 5 year old bully as a stud, but he's never been bred before. Does that mean that I have a chance of having a small litter? Or does the age matter? Right.
When they're 4 or 5 years old?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've got a couple of studs who are that age, but that's probably getting to the end of when they're going to be stud dogs.
Excuse me? Stitch is 11 and he still thinks he can do it.
Well, but he can't.
Well, not until about 6 months ago.
True.
Yeah,
No,
he was
that's
still
true.
producing
Well, yeah,
at 10 and a half years old.
How old Sterling? Because Sterling's still very strong.
Yeah,
He's
Sterling.
7, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, look, I think that if you've got a dog who's 4 or 5 years old and
If you haven't been used, I don't think you're going to get it done. If you do, wow, you might double check, make sure it's poked.
Well, what you should do is this. You should try to pull from a dog now, today, ahead of time, and then have it looked at. I mean, if he's producing all clear or not producing anything, it's not happening.
No.
If it's milky looking and there's a reasonable quantity, which I mean by a couple of cc's, then you can go have it looked at by a vet, or you can stick under a microscope and look at it yourself. But I think that if you're planning on using a 4 or 5 year old stud dog who's never been used before and you need to use him today, good luck on that. That's not good planning. You need to go try this dog out and see if it'll do any good, or at least have a backup plan with another stud available, because you have a good chance it's not going to perform for you. Somebody's asking that we explain TCI. This is going to be probably someone's asking about TCIs versus surgical versus vaginal inseminations. What is the difference? What is the technique? Okay, so
what are you going to do?
AI, vaginal AI. Here's the dog, here's its butt end, here's its vulva. That is a vaginal AI. They basically are putting a tube into the dog on a Frenchie, if you're lucky, 8 inches worth of it, and you're depositing the semen directly into the dog that way. That's a vaginal AI, typically done on a progesterone level of 15 to 18. So if you look at the anatomy of a dog, when you go in through the vulva, you come to what's called a vestibule. A vestibule is basically, it's just a closed, there's nothing at the end of it. It's a cul-de-sac. It's the end of the pipe. There's nothing there. You can't go any further. You don't go through that and then into the uterus. It doesn't work that way in dogs. What happens is, in this cul-de-sac, there's a thing called the os. And the os is a little hole that comes up through the top of the cul-de-sac. Here's, I'm pretending like I'm getting a TCI, transcervical insemination done.
Hey, I don't know where your hand's been. Now I can't have my drink.
You know, nasty places. Anyway, so the whole thing here is you've got 3 things that you can do. One is you can just simply deposit the semen into the vestibule and then block that up with a finger, or a dog's penis, and then let that then soak up through the os over the next 30 minutes to an hour. That's the conventional way of doing it. When the dogs tie together, that's what they're doing. So then after that, the next thing is a TCI, and that is where you have to have some technique to know how to do it. You have an endoscope with a camera, and you can see where this os is, the little hole in the top of the vestibule, and you get the beginning of your AI rod just up inside that. It's basically the beginning of the uterine horns are up here, and you then deposit the semen inside the os. The advantage of this is the os is a very small hole. When you retract this, the semen tends to stay in that area. You have a better chance of getting it where you need it. And then the last way is that you physically. So if this is the dog's vulva, and here is the end of the vaginal canal, you make a slit in the belly, and you find the uterine horns up here. You take them out through that slit, and you inject the semen directly into the uterine horns. That's called a surgical insemination.
Have my straw back, please.
Yeah. Okay. Just tell me what's happening with me using the straw.
No, I'm not.
Okay, she's mad at me, so at that point we're going to have to say goodbye because she's about to hit me. Next time you see me, I've got a black eye. Tammy did it.
I sure did.
Yeah. I have to put makeup on most of the time so that you can't see my black eyes. So anyway, believe that. Thanks for watching. Nice to doggies. See you later. Bye.